Thank you. I just want to say I'm really excited to be here because it was at an event just like this where I had this idea. And now, less than a year later, it's becoming a reality. And I just want to say this is the kind of community where your dreams can come true. My name is Christa Clark. I've started Material Union. Our goal, as Mia really just beautifully outlined, is as how much clothing waste there is. And unfortunately, when it's going to landfill, it's not going to our landfills. It's getting exported to other countries. Our Goodwill Central Texas alone, and you'll actually hear from someone from Goodwill next, is left with over 1 million pounds of textile waste every month, just in Austin. And that's not on Goodwill, that's on us. Those are the clothes that we're donating that aren't getting sold or aren't good enough quality to be put on the showroom floor. Okay, to put into perspective, the city of Austin, we create about 64 million pounds of textile waste estimated as a city. That is the weight of 3 Eiffel Towers. Can go. And Shein is becoming an ever-growing problem. They will put up to 10,000 items on their website every day. Every day. And because of this culture of, oh, it's only $5, I can just buy a new one. It doesn't matter if it rips, right? Like, raise your hand if maybe you have a little bit too much clothing in your closet right now. Okay, we all do. We're fashion people. We like to look cute, right? But what's the true cost of these low-cost items? Because every piece of clothing will have up to 80 hands to make it. Those are people. And when it is $5 new, that means someone's not getting paid along the way. And because of this overconsumption that we're all kind of like getting trained to, we're discarding clothing after 7 to 10 wears on average. You can go to the next one. 87% of all clothing that's made goes to landfill or gets burned. Only 13% is even getting reused, getting taken to Goodwill of everything that's created. Okay. And as I mentioned before, these clothes are getting shipped out of the port of Houston. Actually, we're one of the major ports for shipping off textile waste. And it's going to other countries like Chile, Ghana, Kenya, India. We've all seen pictures like this. You can go. And so the goal here is to stop that clothing from going overseas to begin with and keeping it here in Austin, here in Texas. And we will, within our factory, sort everything that we receive. Anything that's still usable, still cool, can either be remade into something like this, into something like this. It can be resold. It can go to amazing organizations like Just for Success. And the rest is going to get shredded into stuffing. You go to the next one. Currently, like you see this chart, right? Like the 85% that just immediately to landfill, right? And then you kind of go down the chain. So the stuff that's actually like truly getting recycled is only a percentage of a percentage of a percentage, right? Like it's like 1%, I think, of all clothing like genuinely gets like shredded into stuffing or used as industrial rags. Go to the next one. So how it's going to work within Material Union, and the hope is if we meet our fundraising goals, and we're actually about to launch a crowdfunding campaign next month, so you can like buy cute little handmade in Austin little outfits pre-order, and then you can help us raise the money we need to create this recycling facility where things will get dropped off, or our partners, will bring it into us. Everything will get sorted by hand, which also means creating fair wage, livable jobs for people in Austin, Texas. Like, who wants to get paid a minimum of $30 an hour, right? Like we all do, we all deserve that at the bare minimum. And then all the clothing that will either send it to things like Dress for Success, cut it into rags if it's able to, cut it into linens, cut it into tablecloths, cute little napkins, keep sending it down the line. Anything that's left over that's like too gross, to stain, to cut up, will get shredded into stuffing. And currently working with a few different furniture companies to create some lines where the stuffing then goes into become couches, chairs, furniture, and eventually home insulation to replace fiberglass. So there's just like so many, it's kind of blown up, but there's so many different products we can create. And I love this because there's so much creativity available to us. And I welcome anyone, if you think this is cool, if you're inspired, if you want to collaborate on a product, if you want to make a line of like cute quilted teddy bears together, like come talk to me. Because I see this as an opportunity for people to make money recycling stuff that needs to go somewhere and then be loved for years to come. Not just being made into other pieces of clothing that's going to get sent back to landfill, right? Like if it's a couch or if it's lined in our walls of our houses, it's going to be used for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. You can go to the next one. Currently, within this resale market, there's a few things I've been learning through the process of starting this business that really are disappointing, because before I was thinking of, secondhand resale as being all good. Of, all the labor crisis is happening in the fast fashion, in those big factories. No, it's also happening in the secondhand. The people who are sorting the clothes that get sent overseas in the warehouses in Houston, they're getting paid minimum wage at best. They don't have any healthcare coverage. They're working in 105-degree warehouses. That's not okay with me. So throughout the industry, there are things that we can combat against, we can fight against, we can lobby against around human rights violations within our own city, as well as like these stuffing industries. We've all polyfill, right? Just get a big old box of virgin plastic. Like why? Why are we selling that still when there are millions of tons of polyester clothing that could be shredded and used instead? So go to the next one. The cool thing too is, even though this is still a brand new industry, and it actually shocked me how few people are actually doing this shredding. This seems like something that like, maybe it's been happening for a little while. Like, no, like this industry is so small. It's actually been difficult to find anyone in the US actively shredding clothing and making this stuffing. There's like 4 or 5. But, go back. But still, like, that's still a $1.7 billion industry so far, right? Like, there's actually money to be made doing this, which means that there's more jobs to be made doing green jobs, right? There is so much abundance that can be captured through doing the right thing. I don't know about you guys, I am so, like, heartbroken and exhausted and tired of this climate doomism. And this is an opportunity to do cool stuff, to be creative, to do good things, and create economies at the same time and feel like we're contributing towards a future we actually want to live into. Now you can go to the next one. The best part is the legislation's actually like kind of going in a really good direction. There was just a bill that passed in California last month. It's called the SB 707. You should look it up, the Textile Recovery Act. And it's going to hold these large fashion brands accountable for where their stuff ends up. Shein, Zara, H&M, they're gonna foot the bill to build out textile recycling facilities like we're making. Okay, so like this is happening. This movement is gonna spread, and there's an opportunity for other people to open these factories in other states and other cities and like make this a normal thing. And then have lobbying money to actually lobby against all of this shit being made to begin with, right? Like that's the end goal for me, at least. You can go to the next one. Yeah, so this just says more about the SB. Yeah, like I see this as a really personal problem. It doesn't have to be like, oh, here's a recycling facility that exists. Raise your hand if you've ever been to a recycling facility, like ever. Right, not many of us. Like before last year, I had never been to one. And so far, the recycling industry is just like, oh yeah, like I put my things in the bin and they go away. Nothing goes away. Where our clothes end up is also like a personal problem that we're contributing to. But the good news is we can also be the solution for that, and we can work together. And it's amazing events like this that are building the community and bringing us together so we can share ideas and collaborate and work together. And through that, like, solve these problems as a community. I love what Carmen said about it's the community that's standing up that's actually making these change against these huge systems that feel so daunting. Like, yeah, one person can hardly make a difference, but if hundreds of people are working together to say, hey, we're not okay with this anymore, it's amazing what's possible. You go to the next one. So, are you in? Do you want to be part of the change of creating threads of opportunity throughout our country, throughout our city, throughout our state? We all have an opportunity to be a part of this movement. Thank you. Do we have time for questions? Cool.
And if not, you can speak to Christa.
Sure.
Yeah.
So amazing to see, like, since I've met you, what you've done. It's like, I love the name, I love the brand, everything.
Thanks.
What have you learned about Texas legislation and like how that compares to the legislation that you referenced? That was you.
Yep. The question is what's happening in Texas? Not much. Legislation-wise, just as much of an opportunity as this industry in general, right? Like, Texas does not have currently like any legislation for textile safety or even protection of workers within our textile factories or facilities. But I see that as an opportunity for us, just as Austin has become a hub for slow fashion, right? Because there wasn't a fashion scene here before, and we are actively saying, hey, Austin's creating a fashion scene and it's a slow fashion scene. We also have an opportunity to say, hey, we're gonna create some legislation here. And that's definitely a big part of what I hope to accomplish with this business. Yeah. Yeah, Casey.
So fun to finally see you present on this. I feel like I've seen it on Instagram, but I haven't seen it live. You mentioned, I think there's like 4 or 5 other similar facilities.
Mm-hmm.
What states are they in?
Yeah, there's actually, there's one here in Texas outside of Dallas. I found one in Hudson Valley, California, there's one like Michigan. I'm sure there's more. The thing is, up until this point, the people that have created textile recycling facilities will get a big contract. So they're like, hey, we're gonna just take all this stuff from Salvation Army or Goodwill, and then we're gonna turn it into carpet padding. And we have this huge contract with this carpet company. And so they're even hard to find online because they don't care about SEO because they just have this big contract and that's the entire business. And I think there's like a real opportunity to create a recycling business that's more community oriented and involved. And just to say too, the hope is if we can secure a facility by early next year, we will also be doing community events, mending classes, workshops. Like, let's create a space where we can come together throughout the year. And this festival is so amazing. And like, continue to have this vibe, curate this community. I know like you also are so good at community building. And in Austin, we just need more space, right? We're all getting priced out. And so to have an opportunity to create a large scale facility where we can actually come and gather consistently, I think will also be a really cool thing. Yeah.